Alrighty guys, welcome back. It is episode 8 of the WAVYSHI podcast. Just want to say, as at the time of recording, we just hit 100 subs. I just want to say a continued thank you. I know I did my own little post on that. But, you know, it's just something small, and I know it's nothing huge, right? But to be honest, it is to me. It's a step in the right direction. I've only been doing this for a month or 2 months, and I already have 100 subs. And I know it's mostly family and friends, but you know, we're reaching the new bubble every day, or we're trying to. And what we're trying to do is, you know, make other content. You know, we got vlogs coming. More ideas are coming every day. Food reviews. I want to start doing gaming streams with my friend YAHZZIE. He has his own YouTube channel, and the link to that will be in the description. But you know, just let me know your ideas that you have in the comments. If you think that there's something new, if you think that I should shoot for something, go ahead and let me know. We're always trying to be evolving, always trying to step up our game, and one way we're doing that is now we have merch. So we got hoodies, we got hats. I don't have the hat on me. This is my San Francisco hat, but we also have t-shirts as well. Here's our first print. We just got this. Looks like that. WAVYSHI podcast. We have other designs coming. That's just a little sneak peek. But yeah, I'm hopeful with all of this as every day goes on. I'm just hopeful that every day I can be inspiring people. I'm trying to make a new step every single day so people can see that, like, I'm actually trying to evolve, and I'm actually trying to you know, reach that new bubble, you know, everything like that. I'm super excited for what's to come. Yeah, so many ideas planned for the summer. I know we'll get into that later, talking to the guest. So yeah. Now, time to bring in my guest. It's a special one, Wave Gang. I found this guy after he flew out to California with a dream, and ended up recording a video with Bryce Hall. We will get into that later on in the video after continuing talking to him, though. I kept learning more and more about him and his passions to change people's lives, and pursuit to go on and make sure that no one else has to deal with what he had to deal with as a kid. That's what has all convinced me that this guy has what it takes to be the next sensation, and I just can't wait to see what this guy does later on. But here he is. Here's RAZA North. How you doing, RAZA?
I'm doing well, man. How about yourself?
Doing amazing. Yeah. I don't know. I just, right when I saw that video, because I can't say I saw you before, and I'm not gonna like bandwagon off that, but dude, I saw like you just flew out with a dream. You got this billboard, and you were like, you know what, I'm gonna go all in. This is my dream. And that honestly kind of inspired me a little bit too, to like get my whole thing going. But yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and talk about that. Like, what was going through your head when you're sitting at the airport, not even knowing if Bryce Hall is going to see it? What's going through your head?
I would say that, like, I don't know, like I had basically mentally, I was already like all in for like 3 months. So like, I think a lot of people ask me like the fact that I put all this money on the line, like how I was able to even do that. It's because like when I even earned that money, like I had already set it aside for this project. So like mentally I didn't feel like I owned that money. You know what I mean? Like I was like, okay, this is for that idea, and I'm actually broke. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like, I have all this money. It's like, no, I'm broke. This is all going to go towards this project. But when I was sitting there at the airport, I can't say that I was like, I feel like everybody, it's almost like if you've ever been on stage, and you know, you have to give like a speech or like for a wedding or something like that, right? You know, the nerves that kick in like right before, and then once you get that first sentence out, you're just like rolling. I feel like it was like that moment, but for 3 months. And then once I got to LA, I was just like, okay, now like this is, now I'm like in the present, so I can't just freeze up and, you know, ruin all this preparation. So I guess to answer your question, simply put, like I was nervous as hell, but I just kind of knew I had to kind of perform like a stand-up comedian would, right? Like I had to perform, I had to go out there and do my thing, or all this money would kind of go down the drain. So
yeah, dude. I mean, I know you also went out with some friends. Were those friends that you guys went with, or I know that there was people with you, however, that's how I should probably say it. But Yeah. So were those like hometown friends from, I know you go to or went to, I don't know if you're still going to UT Austin. Are you still
Yeah.
going there, by the way?
Yeah, so I'm actually graduating in the spring, and then one of my friends was from UT, and then one of my friends was from LA. So like we kind of joined together, made this little group so that we could like execute this project.
Yeah. That's, dude, that's wild. That's like dreams coming true. And something that I wanted to say, because I saw it in the video, and this is kind of what hit me to begin with. Bryce Hall says when you guys meet up, he's like, dude, this is some like all in, like Mr. Beast type stuff. You know, you're putting
Yeah.
everything out on the line and making these big grand videos. And that's like what gets the thumbnails, what gets in the YouTube algorithms and stuff like that. Um, that's exactly what I was thinking when I saw your video. And I was just like, dude, this guy really has what it takes, and he's putting it all on the line because that's what people want to see. You know, they want to
Yeah.
see dreamers going out trying to get their dreams accomplished. You know, so go ahead and
Yeah.
talk about like, was that your dream? Is that your dream, or maybe is there something else?
So my dream wasn't necessarily to join Sway. My actual dream is to become a full-time creator, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was supposed to be like the means to kind of getting there, right?
Oh yeah.
Um, but more than that, I think, and I'm sure we'll get into this later, but I wasn't going in there with like with the mindset that this set of things need to happen. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? Like I
Oh yeah.
knew that X, Y, and Z needs to happen, that I need to at least meet him so I can kind of pitch myself to him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had done all this preparation beforehand, that was in my control. But you know, like through trial and error over the past like 5, 6 years, I've learned that after doing everything you can, there's no reason to like stress out because there's nothing else that you can do, if that makes sense, right?
Oh
Like
yeah.
if you stress about things that aren't in your control, then it's just like it's a circle of anxiety that just ends up like, you know, leaving you paralyzed and you can't even do anything else after that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, so going back, I mean, you say 5, 6 years that you've been doing this, but even me, for instance, and I know like probably a lot of other people, you know, with TikTok coming out, and I see that you have a huge platform on there. You've been doing all sorts of creative, funny videos, stuff like that. Um, what have you been doing just to give some context to, you know, the audience and stuff like that? Like, what have you been doing for the past 5, 6 years? And then we'll go from there and expand and go on to like your childhood, all that.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, this actually it's not 5 or 6 years, it's actually dating back 10 years. So
10 years.
when I was about 12 years old, so I'm 22 now, but when I was 12, my family was going through a bit of a financial crisis because my dad, like he walked out on our family. And so we had to find a way to make money. And my brother was basically the go-to guy because he's like older than me. So he
Mm-hmm.
kind of, you know, took on
Oh
that
yeah.
role and that burden to really make money for the family. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, I don't think anybody viewed me as a burden, but you know, and so I decided to kind of take on this role of like, you know, well, my brother kind of was researching websites and whatnot. And I decided to kind of go down this social media marketing route because I was like, I was researching literally how to make money online.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that popped up was like Instagram, right? And
Oh
I
yeah.
think Instagram was just getting going back then. And so I just started, I'll keep the story very like concise, but I just started making Instagram pages, motivation, travel, etc. Realized that I could make like you know, a crap ton of money off of
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
And I just kept selling them over and over, building them up. And followings were so easy to build back then, almost like TikTok is now.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so that kind of like built up into this, you know, like set of knowledge that I had that, oh, I could just do X, Y, and Z and I would be able to build a following. So
Mm-hmm.
eventually my community, you know, people with businesses were like, hey, can you do this for me? And, you know, I'm like, I think I was like 16 at the time
Yeah.
or 17. I'm not sure at this point. Um, but people started asking me and emailing me about like, yo, like, can you do this for my business and etc. And I wasn't getting paid to give them all this advice. So I was like, you know, why am I sitting here spending all this precious time emailing these people for free just because I know them
Mm-hmm.
and not charging them anything? And so I also wanted to go after bigger clients. So the way that I combined those two was by writing and self-publishing like my own book. And so I spent a year, 308 days, you know, just bunkering down and so like writing that book. And then I self-published it, went super viral in my community on Facebook. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess there's something there.
Yeah.
And so I decided to start an Instagram marketing agency from there. And, you know, after that, just things started rolling.
Yeah. So go ahead and tell the audience it's the social media specialist, correct?
Yeah, the book was called The Social Media Specialist. I guess we'll talk about it later on, but I kind of took it down now, the website. I still have friends that hit me up. Like actually, I was in LA and I took two of the copies for Bryce.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't end up giving it to him just because I forgot. And
Did you have it on you when you went to
some
the
of my friends
house?
were, yeah, like I had it on me and everything. It's just my mind was
Yeah.
completely like scrambled. Um, and I ended up like having a few friends with me who saw the book and they were like, yo, please like give me some copies. I want to learn all this stuff. And I
Yeah.
was like, wow, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, going back, like you talk about going over to Bryce's house, the Sway house, and that was like your goal. You went out with this mindset, and the billboard said, and we'll do like a little flash up of what the billboard was, and like your whole motive is that you wanted to join Sway, and how you were going to
Mm-hmm.
do that was with three things, right? It was fighting, boxing, and then you ended up playing chess as the other one, correct? Or no?
Yeah, so the initial thing was basically beer pong, shotgunning, and then boxing, like three
Yeah.
rounds of boxing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
because
then when
those
we
are obviously his like specialties, and you were like, yeah, I want to take this man on if I want to join Sway.
exactly, I was like, you know what, this is what you're good at. I'll like learn all these things in 3 months and like try to like, work like not fight my way in because that makes it sound like a gang, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
basically just like, like challenge them at these things and then hopefully be able to join because of that.
Yeah. So I kind of have like a little personal question, because obviously in the video, you take some footage, right? And you post a little bit of it, and he gives you like his like little speech. And obviously I know that there's some stuff that you can say, some stuff that maybe kept personal, and that's correct, the right thing to do. But what was like shocking, maybe, like, because you're meeting this guy who basically the media is trying to perceive as like the bad guy, and you're meeting him and you're having like this deep conversation about him giving advice to you, because now he's up there just like what you want to be. So I don't know, go ahead and elaborate on like what was he saying?
So I guess the most shocking part to answer your question was it wasn't not necessarily shocking, but it was almost confirming that I've always known that behind the scenes, people are very different from how they portray themselves on camera. Because a lot of things, when you think about it, people are big because of how they portray themselves on camera, right? Regardless of whether that's good or bad, that's all subjective,
Mm,
right? But what was shocking to me was that we might have a perception that X person is just lucky, or they're not that intelligent and they just kind of got lucky and they blew up and they got big. But it was very, very motivating and cool to see that like someone like Bryce, who the media basically tries to tear down and like make him seem like he's not that smart, or that he's just like a dumb kid with a lot of money who didn't work hard, to see that behind the scenes he's actually busting his ass to just like continue building this empire that he's already built, and everything is so strategic, you know what I mean, like, and
yeah,
and that's how I perceive this landscape. And I've had to, because I did it for businesses for so long, that I thought when you go over to the creator space, it's like I would have almost the competitive advantage there, but it turns out that the people at the top already have those kinds of characteristics, so it only
yeah,
puts you ahead just a little bit, but not that much. So that was shocking, but almost confirming that this guy really does work hard for everything that he has, and you know it's not what the media makes him out to be.
exactly.
So yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Going back to like the strategizing, somebody who really like brought my whole perspective to like social media is a business. It's not just like it is a get lucky, and there is that lucky factor. But Logan Paul said on his Impulsive podcast, I watched that, and another motivation to start this. He went to go say, if you don't think that every single move, tweet, marketing campaign is not done to this strategic point, then you are crazy, because everything that he is doing is trying to bring in new viewers and all that. And that's exactly what I'm seeing with Bryce. He's like, yeah, doing these controversies and like going up to people. I remember he did one video where this guy was talking smack over the internet, didn't want to meet up with him. So he goes up to the guy's house and gives him cat food,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's like the whole strategizing, getting like that whole thing up. He's obviously going to be portrayed as this bad guy, but that still brings in views and the clicks, and everybody's doing, oh, Bryce Hall this, Bryce Hall that, and it all goes back to him.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess it's up to you on whether or not, like, if you're in this space, on whether or not you care a lot about how you want to be perceived, because I know a lot of people do care about that.
Yeah.
But for the people that have that little advantage where they don't care at all, and their brand isn't affected by that perception that the media paints, then they do have a leg up on people, at least in my opinion. And for the thing that you mentioned about drama, the pretty cool thing is I just read an article about Josh, and he was showing, they were basically showing how drama like pays, and the whole feud that he had with Chase, like I think last year,
Hmm.
the vlogs that they made netted about 40 million views and netted him what they estimate to be about 100 grand. And so it just makes you wonder, going back to the Logan Paul thing, everything might be like, is just for the cameras. You know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah.
it's a rude awakening because we don't want to believe that. It's almost like when you peel back the curtains of Hollywood and you see how things are shot and made, and you don't want to know it, because once you know it, the magic's gone, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how this world is, except there are a lot more blurry lines on like what is real and what is fake, because some people will really be feuding, but for the most part, I think it's all for the cameras.
Yeah. So yeah, down to like the strategic wiring, what's your like whole, are you trying to push like a certain brand, a certain message? Are you gonna go down the path that maybe Bryce Hall was going down, where it's like, um, I'm doing what I want to do and I'm not really affecting anybody, so I don't really care what people think. I don't know. Go ahead and just tell the audience, get them to get a feel of you and what you're trying to build.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't really know yet because I'm still like in the starting stages of
Yeah, yeah,
everything. At least I would say I am. Um, but my thing is a little bit different. Like I'm trying to be the biggest, like, and it's very like I hope people don't take this in the wrong way, but I'm trying to be the biggest creator on the planet, right? Like that's my
yeah.
that's my goal. That's what I'm pursuing. And the motive behind that is that in my community, a lot of people are stereotyped to only pursue certain things, right? Like engineering, medical, etc.
Mhm.
And so it's very difficult to break out of that stereotype, especially when you have a love for the arts, right? Like everybody in my community is a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer. And the thing is, although that's a stereotype that people outside of the community view, like all of us as, it's also something true internally, right? Like I know a lot of friends and I wouldn't say family, but a lot of really close friends, um, that want to pursue like videography or photography or stuff like that, but they just don't have the heart to kind of go all in and pursue that thing because they've been conditioned by their parents to believe that the only routes are those three stereotypes that have been built for us. And my
Oh
whole
yeah.
goal is that once I am the biggest on the freaking planet, I will have gained enough respect from my community, the South Asian community, to be able to then turn around and tell them and inspire the future generation of creators to be like, hey, like this is not just our route. Like we don't have to be stuck in this little stereotype. You don't have to go down this route just because your parents told you to, or you literally don't have any idea because that's what you've literally been conditioned to believe is the only path that you can take.
Oh yeah.
Like that's not it, right? Like you can do that like you can go pursue photography, comedy, like all this stuff. It's possible. It just takes a crap ton of work. But like once I'm like the way I envision it, and maybe this is a little too far if someone does watch it, but I hope that I'm always proven like, right over the course of like 5 years. But
Yeah.
I always envision it as me standing on the stage with a Streamy Award or whatever award. And I'm looking out and I have that 2 minutes, those 2 minutes to tell something, my award speech or whatever. And in that speech, I'll make this claim and I'll tell my community and my people that, if there's that guy or that girl who's sitting inside of that dorm room, who's literally working on that engineering exam, like studying for it and just hates their life, or is working on that biology textbook and just like hates everything that they're doing and everything that they're pursuing, and they know that they want to do acting, comedy, something else like videography, to go and do that thing. Because I mean, you hear it 1,000 times, but life is too short. But the even crazier fact is that you have a very select uh, few years in your life where you can choose a path, and you don't necessarily get stuck in it, but it becomes very, very difficult if at 24 you decide to go into engineering and you take up 8 years of your life. Now you have a family. It's very
Mhm.
difficult to now pursue videography.
Exactly. Yeah. I have, I mean, you bring this up. I have one of my best friends, he, um, his dad was I'm pretty sure he worked with the videos that and ads and the Apple was doing, videography, all that. And my friend, his name's Freddie Churchill, shout him out. I know he like once, maybe not once, but I know he's really good at all this like camera stuff, but he's always been kind of focused on like going the traditional route and all that. And thankfully for me, honestly, like I've had parents who, like when I said I wanted to start the podcast, they were very thankful or accepting of it, and they allowed me to do that, and I'm very thankful for that. But yeah, I hope even for me that at the end of the day I can inspire people to be like, yo, if this is what you want to do and it makes you happy, that's what life is about. Because the society, as every day goes on, is just craving more money, and like that status. But just honestly, just being happy with what you're doing. And I can see that exactly with what you're doing. You're happy with what you're doing. You're posting stuff, you're making merch, you're doing all the stuff that a big creator wants to be. And I don't think that it's out of the realm to be saying, this is what you want to be doing and this is your goal. Because I think in 5 years from now, people are going to be watching this video and being like, he knew it. And he knew all the strategies. And then people are going to be coming up to your place and wanting to do challenges with you, etc. I see it all.
Yeah, man. It's crazy you say that, because it's like everything I put out, like even in my YouTube videos, like I have one coming out tomorrow. And even in there, I always say 2 years from now or 1 year from now, because I know how these things work. And it's never like you have to kind of be able to contain that short-term embarrassment for that long-term, like, satisfaction that you were right. And the thing is that when it does come to that long-term moment, you almost forget that you even made that claim. You know what I mean? You've just been working towards it the whole time. And then now it comes to fruition and you're like, oh my God. Right. Like even for TikTok, I have like footage of like, and I'll release it once I hit 1 million, hopefully. But I have footage from like a year ago when I was sitting in front of the camera. And before I even started TikTok, I was like, yo, like I'm going to hit 1 million like followers in the next year. Right. Like I'm going to try my best. And every 100,000, I'm like, talking to the camera saying, holy crap, like this is happening. Like, and then there's some moments where I'm like, shit, like what's going on? Like none of this is working out. And it's just so cool to see myself progressively like getting closer. And now I'm at 800,000, which is like very close to 1 million. And, I look back at those videos and I'm like, wow, if only I knew like that. Well, I didn't know at the time, but it's like, if only people knew that you could literally just make a claim and then work every single day towards it. And looking back, you're already there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. A prime example of this in 2020 was Eric.
Yeah.
He's sitting there, he's getting the footage beforehand, and he released it once he hit 1 million, and he was like, dude, all I do all day, every day is just sit down and watch YouTube. And he wasn't happy with his life, And so what did he do? He started his channel and he said, we're going to hit 1 million subs by the end of 2020. And we're going to prove to people that you can still become a creator in this time. And it's the almost replica for you and the success that I can see just coming with it. Cause you're at 805K or something like that, right? On TikTok? Yeah, so you're killing it, making these funny, like I was rewatching them yesterday because I was trying to make sure I had everything in line and, for this podcast, just to get a little understanding of you. Like your interviews that you were doing at UT Austin were funny and I really enjoyed them.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I can only imagine like the TikTok community, like seeing that in the For You page and just like not laughing. Yeah, that was some pretty good stuff. And it's the idea that you're posting on TikTok, you're posting on Instagram, and you know the whole space because of your mysterious media business. And I wanted to ask you a question after. It's all this like TikTok goes up, the Instagram goes up, YouTube goes up, and it's all pushing that one goal of becoming the biggest creator of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So going off of that, you have this whole business and, you want to do the content creator thing, but mysterious media is still a thing, right? And you're still working with that and getting companies to like build those pages. Go ahead and talk about that. You're like getting started with it, getting like those first few invoices and stuff like that. Like, how was it?
So I'm not working on it anymore, but
Oh, okay.
so the thing is, I guess in that story, once I started the company, sophomore year of high school or sophomore year of college, I decided to start a podcast called Crushing It. And the contingency that I had was that if I started this thing, I was going to become the next Joe Rogan, right? Like there's a little pattern here that I shoot for the highest.
Mm-hmm.
But I figured out that TikTok was coming along. The contingency was that I drop everything that had to do with mysterious media. And the reason for that was that I wasn't happy doing it. It wasn't something that I like really, chose to do. It was something that I was put in a position to do to sustain
Yeah.
myself. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it made a lot of it made really good money for me. But my contingency was I don't like it. I'm not happy with it. So I'm going to have to cut it off. And like because the longer you wait, you just get more and more comfortable with the thing that you have. At least that's like my theory about things. So I decided to start the podcast, did 20 episodes of it, saw that TikTok was coming like coming up, and I was
Yeah.
like, hey, like maybe I should try this thing, and then eventually circle back around and you know start doing the podcasting thing. And so that's where I started this whole creator stuff.
Yeah. So what are some videos? Because we're all talking about the content. Go ahead
Mm-hmm.
and give a little shout out. Like what's some content that we're going to be seeing from you in the next couple of weeks, months? Like I know that we have a potential from what I'm seeing from the leaks, maybe a helicopter video with David Dobrik.
So that was actually before the past few months or the past few
Okay.
weeks, some of the stuff that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I will
Yeah,
still
true.
like be
Yeah.
doing I'll still be pursuing a pretty crazy idea. Tomorrow I'm actually releasing a video where I walk 100,000 steps. So some of the videos in between, I'll try to keep them a little bit, we'll call it budget friendly, just because,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm starting off right now. But in the next few weeks, I guess you just have to stay tuned, follow me at RAZA
There
North,
we
and,
go.
you know, hopefully you'll be able to see some of the videos that come out. But I'm going to be putting a lot more effort into them and a little bit more strategy than I did with the Bryce one. Because although that one was strategically like planned, I think the execution of it was very much up in the air. And I think I could do a lot better of a job.
Yeah, it's all learning from your experiences, getting that first step out so that the next step can be 10 times better. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
I did want to
So
ask.
I have a
Oh,
question for
go
you.
ahead. Go ahead.
So where do you see your podcast going? What are your goals?
So my goals. Um, I want to be able to have a platform for other people to come on, educate, my audience and give them like a deeper talk, because for me, I love deep conversations, the whole small talk thing. I'm not really into that. Like the um going to parties and seeing like people for only a quick second and not really like gaining the strong relationships that you need in life. Because that's kind of what I learned in quarantine was during COVID was like what really mattered to me was seeing people and gaining those relationships and all that. And so I guess going with the podcast, I just want people to, sit down and listen to a video where somebody can explain what's going on in their life. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and use that as also platforms to educate people. Like in the end goal, I want to be like Joe Rogan, where he ends up bringing people who are doctors on, and then they can go ahead and talk like some stuff that people don't really know about, maybe some psychoanalyst stuff, what goes on in the brain, or like if there are new sicknesses or stuff that comes out, I just want it to be a platform where I can share the deep conversations of the knowledge that I gain from talking to
Mm-hmm.
people and all that, and um, hopefully allow people to want to have more deeper conversations.
That's cool, man. I
Yeah.
think you'll get there. How old are you right now, if you don't mind me
So I'm
asking?
I'm eight I'm 18. I'm a high
Okay.
school senior, graduating in May, going off to college next year. So yeah, a lot
Dude,
in
that's awesome.
store. A
You're
lot
getting
in store.
started early. That's good.
Exactly. That's another thing. I just kind of wanted to have fun with high school before I was out in college, like, and then actually having to figure everything out. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's all going to be a ton of fun, and I keep wanting to push the message of just staying wavy. That's like my
Yeah.
motto, and it's just staying real, being yourself, and not changing for other people, and doing what you want to do.
Dude, I love that message.
Exactly. And so when I saw your video, I was like, this man is for surely keeping it wavy. And I hit you up right away. I was like, dude, I have an amazing idea. If you want to come on the podcast, get the audience to get to know a little bit more about you. Because I know that, you know, YouTube, you can only see like that short little snippet, and you don't get
Yeah.
to hear, you know, the stories of you having to deal with your father and your family and having to grow up, you know. Going off of growing up, to switch it over, you seem to be very wise. Like you have matured definitely earlier than a lot of other people. And I read that in an article that I was reading earlier. You kind of do you feel like you growing up in a way like affected you badly, affected you in a good way, or do you think like you maybe missed out on like the socialization of like what a normal kid was doing?
So I actually made it a point. That's a good question. I made it a point throughout my life because I saw the struggles that my brother was going through. Because again, he had majority of the burden, or basically all the burden of, you know,
Yeah.
kind of providing for the family. I was kind of just trying to sustain myself and not add on to that stuff. Um, but I really made it a point because I saw the kind of struggles he was going through, and he kind of, in my opinion at least, he was kind of like so focused on the work and trying to provide that he really couldn't have time to do anything else. And so I always tried to integrate, you know, socializing and talking to people and like going out and being like forcing myself to be extroverted almost, so that
Mhm.
I wouldn't like, you know, clam up and become like this like, you know, I guess I don't know how to put it into words, but like, you know, where you just get into that like victim mentality and you just kind of
Yeah.
shell up and you feel bad for yourself for the rest of your life. So I didn't want that to become me. So I kind of put myself out there more and more and more. And now at this point, I, I'm glad like exactly how I am. Like I'm very glad how I grew up. I'm very glad that, you know, I guess you could say I'm wise, but I still make really stupid mistakes. Um,
I think we all
but
do,
I'm
you
very,
know?
yeah, exactly. But I'm very glad I am who I am. And, you know, I think it takes people, or at least it took myself a very long time to come to that like conclusion. Cause a lot of times you start going down the rabbit hole where you do start feeling bad for yourself, where you do start like comparing yourself to other people. And you're like, wow, like, you know, everybody has it good. They have, you know, they have like a dad paying for all their stuff or for their college or for this or for that. And so that stuff always goes through my head. But then I kind of think about it and it's like, it's not that I have it better because, you know, I don't think that way or I don't have those resources, but it's also like they have it their way and I have it my way. I get the advantage of kind of understanding the value of my time, the value of my hard work, the value of everything that comes my way because I had to work my ass off for it. Right.
Yeah.
And so I guess it's just like it's just apples and bananas, I guess you could say. Like everyone has their own different situation, but I'm very glad that I have my own.
Yeah. Dude, like dealing with those hardships as kids, because I'll even say like my mom passed away when I was in kindergarten, right? And so that was of course a struggle that me and my dad had. Um, Nothing compared to you at all. But yeah, I can just really see how that's like pushing you to just become a better person overall, you know, getting through like what's the main goal in life. And it is while you have to learn that getting money is very, very important, still learning to like have fun. And I think since you were, you know, the younger sibling, you got to learn that on a little bit of a looser rope, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, for sure.
but so you talk about all this time and you have all of these things that you're doing. How do you, because I know I'm going to have a struggle with this going to college next year. How do you have time and find the time that you balance like a full-on business, the idea that maybe you want to do like a podcast or you know, now you're starting to do the content while also socializing? Like, was that hard? Did you find yourself like not going to a lot of the parties or hanging out with friends?
So I'll say that it's not all of those things at once. Like it really happened in like it
Increments?
was very like, yeah, increments, and it was stagnated a lot of the times. Like in the first 2 years I had a business, as well as college, as well as socializing, then the podcast. So the business dropped off, then the podcast, and now the podcast dropped and the creator stuff. So it's never been more than three things. But I will say, like, it just depends on what you want. And at some points in you know, like my college life or whatever, I've wanted to have fun more than I've wanted to do business stuff, right? And I'm just
Yeah.
like, you know what, forget that stuff. I'd rather just live my life in the moment. And then I kind of gather myself back and I'm like, wait, no, this is what I want. And I just work hard towards it. I'm not the right person to answer this question because if you're talking about time management and stuff like that, I don't manage my time. I'll be very honest with you. I don't manage it. I stay up very late, working a lot of the time, sometimes not working, sometimes just, watching Netflix, being an idiot. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Like
Yeah.
it's not like I'm some perfect like person at all. Like
Oh
it's
no,
just
yeah, not labeling you in that in any way. I
yeah,
didn't want
no,
to say it like
I know
that.
you're not, but I know a lot of people will like
Yeah.
try to kind of like frame it in that way, like, oh, like I do all these things and they don't. But it's like it's not about managing your time, it's just making the time that you put towards something count, if that makes sense, right? Like if I put 1 hour towards this thing, if I can put one focused hour on this thing, I could probably get like more stuff done than like someone gets done in like 10 hours sitting at the library with friends and,
Yeah.
just like hanging out, which,
Hmm.
there's a time and place for everything. But I just believe that focused hours are what I count. And,
Yeah, being really
I've
effective.
exactly, very effective. And over time, your gears just, start turning a lot faster and you get more done in
Hmm.
those few hours. And I don't think that people have more than like 4 or 5 productive hours in the day. That's just my own belief. And so when I do have those 5 hours, I just like put all of it into it. And then I just kind of kick back a little bit.
Yeah. Um, 100% agree. It's all about being effective with the time that you're given, because if you are being effective 24/7, you are like, your brain is going to get fried. And I even know,
Yeah.
like, some people like want to put on maybe an image that they are perfect and that they're doing all this stuff. But then once they get big, because I know Logan Paul was just like this, he
Yeah.
was saying, "Oh, it's the everyday, bro," like, or Jake Paul or whatever, like nonstop. He even says, like, coming out, like, yeah, I was still, finding the time to socialize and do all this stuff. I think that that's very important. Uh, Getting that community, and at least my goal with this podcast is to have like that core group of people that, you're going to be working with them, but you can also socialize with them, and so it comes
Yeah.
in hand. Are you kind of building your own little team, and are you trying to like do it all on your own, or what?
So the way that I work is like what I usually need the most help with is just like videography, like someone to film me. And so I have like a bunch of like people that help do like film stuff. And we
Hmm.
kind of just formed a group. And then I have a lot of friends in LA that I made, and we kind of like talk back and forth. It's really different when where are you based, by the way?
I'm based in Indianapolis, so Indiana, not
Okay,
not
cool.
anywhere close to any sort of traction or all that.
Gotcha. So in Austin, it's like Austin's becoming kind of like I guess a lot of people are moving from California, but it's still not
Yeah.
at its level because a lot of people in Austin are still very like tech startup, etc., like kind of vibe, right? But when I went to LA, like literally it's not weird to have a camera out. Like nobody even bats an eye. Like everyone's just doing
Exactly.
their own thing. It's just like, oh, it's like almost how software engineering is to San Francisco. That's what filmmaking is for like Los Angeles. And then like I didn't believe it until I got there. So I don't like I almost feel like when I make that move to LA is when I'll have like the big group of like creators to like kind of bounce ideas off of. But a lot of people here in Austin that just do like TikTok and, help me film and stuff are kind of like that core group that I work with.
Hmm. So, are you thinking of? I know you're graduating soon. Are you thinking about moving it out to LA?
That's the $1 million question, huh? So hopefully that's the plan. It's just I need to be able to get all the finances set right for
Hmm.
um hopefully in like August is like the goal. But I don't want to say anything too early because, things can change. But there's just a lot of options that I have to work with, and
Yeah.
it all just relies on this creator stuff working out, right? And it will,
Hmm.
and it will happen, and all of this stuff will go great. It's just about timing it and figuring out whether or not I'll be able to make it in the time frame that I'm like setting for myself.
Oh yeah. I mean, going back to, I was reading in that same article, you said time is everything. Luck does play a role, but there's a time for everything, and you need to make sure that that time is right. So yeah, completely understand. Um, I know for me, for instance, I'm going to be going out, maybe a little preview for the people listening. we're going to be going out to California, at least for a little bit. We're working out the dates and all that. But yeah, we have some trips planned out for this summer. So maybe if you go out there, maybe we could set something up. We'll
Let me
see.
know. Let me know. Let me know. I
Yeah,
might fly out there as
exactly.
well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so we're planning like, all sorts of content we can do out there. But besides the podcast, we're trying to elevate, we're trying to do vlogs. We're trying to do food reviews, stuff like that, just kind of dibble dabble, see what our niche might be, find what works. And I think you're kind of still doing the same thing. Do you have like some stuff that maybe you do want to dibble dabble in, or is it kind of
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
thinking of day to
definitely.
day?
I wanted to do food reviews for the longest time, actually. Yeah,
There we
but it's just
go.
like a very specific food review. I don't know
Yeah.
who's listening right now, but I don't want to give away my ideas. But
Hmm.
if there is someone that wants to do this, they could totally steal it completely.
Yeah. So you don't
I
have
was
to
gonna
talk
do
about it if you don't.
no. I don't like. I
Okay.
would rather watch someone else do this idea than like really like sit
Yeah.
here and try to plan it all out.
All right. Let's hear
But I
it.
was gonna do taco reviews.
Ooh.
So
Okay.
like
I see that.
how Dave Portnoy does pizza reviews, do taco reviews in Austin, because Austin's like Austin and San Antonio are kind of like the hubs for like the best tacos in the world kind of thing, or at
Jeez.
least that's
Yeah.
kind of the label.
That would be super cool. And I don't know. Do you follow Hey Big Mike?
Yeah, he does
Yeah,
like the
so he
burgers.
does his like burger thing. Yeah, exactly. That was kind of an inspiration to me. I keep trying to call out Hey Big Mike. He's never had Steak and Shake, and that's like a place out here, a burger joint. And I keep saying, yo, I'll bring you to the best one if you want to come out to Indianapolis, but it is Indianapolis.
Well, you never know. Maybe he'll decide to see, what is it? Are you tweeting at him, or
Yeah, tweeting it out, sharing it on Instagram, stuff like that.
well, hopefully he'll see the tweet and then he'll fly out there and you'll have the biggest collab of the century.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, just to be honest, what inspired me to do that, definitely not on your level, but it was you were like taking the leap that, maybe people who see that on, social media are going to be like, okay, yeah, right, this guy's going to do it. So I kind of wanted
Yeah.
to dive in on that. You have been very successful with your business and starting off with your YouTube, and all your TikTok stuff, blah, blah, blah. What kind of feedback have you been hearing back from like maybe your family, friends? Like, is your family kind of on board with it, or are they like, whoa, you're entering a spot that we don't know about? Because I do know
No,
they're
my
like doctors.
no, my mom is like the most supportive human being on the planet. Like regardless of anything and everything I pursue, she'll give me advice on what I should do and like what I should pursue. And then, she'll be unsure of whether or not what I'm pursuing is like, it's a little unstable or something like that, and she'll kind of give me advice. But then when she sees something, she's like, oh wow, there's something here, you should do this and that. So no, she's completely on board. Everyone in my family is on board. It's really weird. I'm not necessarily like that good at talking about this next part, which is the feedback. Just because what you see in your direct messages and over text is very different from what someone might feel. But I'm not
Mm-hmm.
like, I shouldn't, I guess I'm like still learning this, but I shouldn't like be responsible for what people are thinking, like what people are thinking versus what they're sending. So I get like
Yeah.
tons of positive feedback, like especially when that Bryce Hall, like, like when he posted me on his story, I had like 400 like Instagram DMs and like I don't know how many people texting me like, oh my God, this is crazy, yada yada. But of course, like none of those people like kind of
Yeah.
supported anything else before that. So it's kind of like bittersweet sometimes, just because
Mm-hmm.
you wish that those people would have been there the whole time, but it's almost very entitled to expect that from people. So that's kind of like, you asking me that question is almost me like trying to teach myself how to view that stuff properly, right? Because right
Yeah.
now I used to be very bitter towards like that idea, because
Mm-hmm.
it's like a lot of people, when you start like doing well and doing like things that might not even, yeah, like none of this stuff makes me that much money, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not
Yeah.
making like millions of dollars or even thousands of dollars, right? And it's just
Yeah.
like
That's
it
a
doesn't
big
even
step to get to like that point where you're making all the money, which is why it's such a big gamble, you know. When you
exactly.
put everything out on the line and then no money is coming back, but you're like, no, it's all an investment. I'm all working on this, blah, blah, blah. Yeah,
And
I can
yeah,
totally see that.
yeah, exactly. And I think that's the hardest part, because it's like you're not making any money. You're just kind of pursuing this thing. You're almost embarrassing yourself in front of people that you know, to do this bigger thing, because you know once you hit that little crescendo moment, all of this will go away and it'll turn into, oh my God, wow, like we supported you this whole time. It's been
Yep.
inspiring. This is great. And see, this is like that bitter side that I'm talking about. Like it makes me
Yeah.
very bitter when I'm like, ugh, like, why do you guys have to be like that? Why can't you just be supportive from the start? But it is
Mhm.
very entitled. Like no one does. People are, I think my brother said this best. He said, people love winners. And that's it. That's period. Like people love winners, period. Right. You don't see people like rooting for like if they have the two biggest like boxers in the world, right? And the
Yeah.
guy, one guy gets defeated, like no one's like feeling bad for him, right? Like, of
Hmm.
course, everyone around in his circle is like, helping him up and stuff. But if he comes back and makes a huge comeback, of course, now everybody's going to switch sides and bandwagon on him. So it's just a very rude awakening of the way that life works, right? And it's that people love winners. It doesn't matter
Exactly.
about, like, you could lose 1,000 times, but if you win once, everybody will be on your side. And that's kind of how that Bryce thing felt. Like I felt what it felt like, what probably these social media influencers that are like at the very top, they probably feel
Hmm.
every single day, which was just like an outburst of like the most amount of love I've ever felt towards this thing that I've been pursuing,
Yeah.
like probably in the 10 years that I've been in this like industry, right? All
Oh
in
yeah.
like 2 or 3 hours, which is just insane. So I don't know. It's all bittersweet, but the feedback is good. Like like that's all I can say. Like the feedback is good, but it's
So
just
you
like
haven't been getting
very
any hate?
spotty. What was
You
that?
haven't been getting any hate?
I don't really like, I take that like Gary Vee approach about like hate. I just feel
Yeah,
bad for people that hate.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah. And so I don't really like, dude. I took me, the reason why I never even pursued being a YouTuber was because 10 years ago I started a Minecraft channel and I was like,
Yeah,
I had
zero
like
pixel,
five.
right?
Yeah, exactly. And so I had about like 5,000 like subscribers, and I think the hate or the whatever it was that my like classmates like kind of threw towards my way, it got to me. I was so sensitive, and so I like kind of stopped, and they like flagged all my videos, and I was like, oh man, why are they doing this to me? And so I like deleted my, I didn't delete it, but I kind of just like gave up on the channel. And then it took me like 10 years to grow thick enough skin to be like, you know what, I can either care about what these people say, or just not care for long enough where now they'll care about what I'm doing. So it's really like it's a process trying to really internalize that stuff, because my approach to all this stuff is very similar to yours. When I see someone pursuing something, I'm all in on supporting the crap out of them, right? Like it's like, wow, like I understand how much guts it took to like pursue
Yeah,
this thing and put yourself out there. I get it. Like trust me, I get it. And that's why I'm always like DMing people and being like, holy crap, you keep going. Like you don't understand like what you're doing. Like this is great stuff. Don't let anyone tell you any
exactly.
differently. And I don't know. I always feel kind of bitter because in response I always get the, oh yeah, you suck and you're never gonna
Yeah,
get anywhere. But then I do have people that do support me, but it's just like, why can't people just
start love
encourage
from the
instead of
beginning.
like tear them down? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, going off of what you said, the DMing, that is exactly why I DM'd you. You know, I saw
Yeah.
that you were doing good, and just like you're saying, that bittersweet moment, but I'm glad I did find you because I'm so excited about what you're going to do and everything in the future, because I know that you do everything to 120%, even if you have to count every single brick on this long walkway at UT Austin.
Yeah. Yeah. You know it.
And it's just all like starting like bringing in the love. And I think that
Hmm.
more and more people, as every day goes on, as social media keeps getting bigger and people are dealing with hate all the time, people are
Hmm.
starting to realize it's all about the love. And I'm excited because if I have my goal and you have your goal and we both end up at the places that we want to be at, we could be at the top and we could, change the momentum of how people pursue it, you know, how people pursue hate and all that.
Yeah, no, I was just saying my only concern with that stuff is just because I don't see society progressing that way, and that might be a pessimistic point of view, but yeah, like I just like the way that I see everybody reacting to certain situations, it almost feels like, and maybe it might be because of the pandemic, but I feel like people find that there will always be a subset of people that find that satisfaction and gratification off of tearing someone down versus like building them up, just because it's like a herd mentality, right? And there is like, if you look very deep down in your like most, you know, core selves, there is that little hint that, like, you know, I don't know, there must be some evidence out there. Now I'm just spewing stuff that I believe, but like, you know, back in the caveman days or the villager days or something like that, right? Like if someone believed someone was a witch, right, and it was like a witch hunt, and they weren't, but someone like raised the alarm and started the gossip that that person was, if it spread wide enough, like people would grab torches and go and like hunt them down and burn them, right? Because
Yeah.
that was the herd mentality, and that was what everybody believed. And so as a group, nobody's actually thinking, they're just kind of doing. And that's kind of the way I view like the social media landscape today. It's just, of course, it doesn't matter when you're small, but when you're at the very, very tippy top where the top creators live, yeah, that's just, it's all about burning people without like kind of hearing them out. And so I don't know, I don't
100%.
see it going that way. But then at the same time, you have people like Bryce who I've talked to, and it's like they kind of weaponize this subset of people, and you know, nobody's actually getting burned at stake because we live in the 21st century. And so they kind of weaponize that and make crazy amounts of dollars off of it.
Exactly. Like the whole cancel culture, all of that. One person who I know wants to do this, and this is her brand. It's Trisha Paytas, and she was she dated Jason Nash and all that. She like kind of built her whole motto to be like going against people, and it's all because she wants to get those people off the top, because she wants the satisfaction that maybe she did it, maybe now that's an easier path to get up to the top. But yeah, it's all that craving that instead of just being positive, working together, they want to just sit down, you know, and be on their Twitter and just go ham on the keyboard. And I genuinely, I don't understand. I mean, I know some people find enjoyment with that, but sending out a mean tweet and stuff like that, not me. And I see that with you too. It's not you at all.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think it, and it's again, it's just about, this is me just kind of reiterating what I already said, but it's very entitled to kind of, at least in my opinion, to think that everyone can understand what it feels like to put yourself out there, because to be honest, the rewards that you get for the risk that you take is not comparable when you do this stuff, right? The rewards are freaking enormous, and that's why there's so much accountability and so much burning at stake. I see that part. I understand it. I'm like, yeah, like you're famous, you got lots of money, people recognize you. You literally get to wake up every day and just open up the camera and talk about your life, and people love it, and you're making money off of it, right? Like that's a huge privilege, right? But of course, you have to put yourself out there to even get close to those rewards. So I understand that why people come with the torches and want to burn them at stake. You know, I get it. But at the same time, I get the side where it's like, yo, like there's no progression that's going to be made if you just talk with the torches instead of like sitting down and having a conversation. So that's just, those are the two sides. I see them both. I don't know how to kind of weave them together and kind of find that balance. Again, I'm not the balance guy. I don't even know how to manage my time. I wouldn't be able to do this.
Exactly.
So I just kind of view them as they are, take it for what it is, and just keep it moving.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this whole cancel culture plays out, because I know all the influencers and all the creators are not big fans of it. I mean, it is good to an extent, I believe, you know, getting rid of the whole David Dobrik. We're not going to go into that at all, but yeah. I did want to ask though, there's all this, you know, big fight coming up with Bryce Hall and Austin McBroom.
Yeah.
But the first thing that I noticed when I saw that photo that Danny Duncan and everybody was tweeting was that there were still some opening slots. Now, I just want to bring up an idea. You go out to LA and you meet up with Bryce Hall, and your initial challenge was to do Boxing was one of them, one of the three.
Yeah.
What do you think has to be done for you to maybe get on one of those cards? And would you be interested in working towards that?
I didn't think about that, but now that you put it out there, that might be like,
Ding.
that might be the next video idea.
There you go.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe showing up at Bryce's house, or maybe not Bryce's house, because I know they don't like the house thing. But yeah, doing another big video, putting it all out on the line. That's initially what I was thinking, and I was like, I got to talk about that on the podcast. So,
yo, let me write that down real quick.
Yes, sir. There we go. So hyped for it.
You heard it here first on the Wavy podcast.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Wavy.
That's right here.
All right. Yeah, I got it down. All right. I might. But what do you think I should do? Like,
so
besides showing up.
Well,
because I can't spend any more money. I've kind of spent it all.
So what I was thinking is, there's gonna be like actual. Well, what we honestly could do if we just start posting it. If you do like a little mock-up Photoshop and you put your face in it, and you make that like the big thing, and you just start posting, and you're like, hey, repost, and then you tag everybody. That could be one way. But to actually make it like a video and all of that, I think what you could do is go out to LA and do maybe not like huge things and get out like the big billboard and all that. But if you can find a place to stay, crash at, and work with people and just start building up the hype, maybe getting out t-shirts, handing out stuff like that. Just kind of like building the brand. I don't know. That's definitely something I want to talk to you about later on.
Yeah, definitely. Let's talk more about it off the podcast.
Yeah. Save the idea so that people can, see the video, not just hear it here. But yeah, dude, we're just going to wrap this up real quick. I want to say thank you. Having you on the podcast was amazing. Get to meet you. You get to meet me while also entertaining people and getting them to get a feel of you. That's what I wanted to, do. People don't know you past the Bryce Hall video or past the TikToks or any of that, but you have this amazing story and you have this amazing message that you want to get across and all that with your whole entrepreneurial mindset, being a creator and doing what you truly love. So I can just say you're inspiring me, and I know you're inspiring others if you're inspiring me. And I'm so excited for what I'm about to see from you in the future.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Alrighty, guys, that's it. Just wanted to say an amazing episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. Keep it wavy. Deuces. Dude, that was an amazing podcast, bro. Good stuff.
Thank you, man.